Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Blokes podcast. Ryan Hassan from the Centre for Healing here, joined as always by Nick, the Sultan of Steel, the Miracle of McRae, the Prophet of Myndfit, the oh my God, the one with an Essendon Bombers mug. Nothing screams loser more than a mug like that. Um, and the
What
Bunnings
what you
top
s-
as well.
what you say about me says more about you than it says about me, buddy.
Yeah, well, my
So
football team's worse than yours.
yeah, no, this
How
is
are you?
the TX
Yeah.
the TX Trade Mutts collab with Bunnings.
And
So
so what's the collab all about? How does it work? Is it just some
uh,
apparel or
yeah, so all the jumpers that were sold, the money goes to the TX Foundation to provide free counselling support for the trade industry.
oh, lovely. I was
Yeah,
chatting to one of the school dads today. He works for Karcher, the pressure wash, they do
I
car
do.
washes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and he was talking about they're chatting to Bunnings at the minute. They're going to roll out in one first, then probably the rest, just put car washers in Bunnings, like in the car park. And I'm
Ah,
like, I'm surprised
right.
they haven't done that already. It just makes complete sense. And you can get like, points when you spend money there and you get a free car wash while you're there and that kind of thing. So
Are you going to be there in your bikini top or washing the cars?
yeah, yeah. It's like the kittens car wash, but it probably wouldn't be called kittens. I don't know what you'd call it with me doing it, but
I don't
mongrels.
know. Well, if you want to jump on the YouTube channel and watch today's episode, Ryan's turned up in his best Michael Jackson leather jacket. He's going to a day gay club after this.
Do you want me to take it off? Like,
No,
should
no,
I take it
no.
off or not?
You look ravishing.
Ravishing.
It's it's just weird seeing someone in a leather jacket at 9:30 in the morning. It's
Yeah,
just
look,
it's
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not much of a fashionista. I don't like clothes shopping and everything, so I
oh, we
just
know this. We
this is
know
my
this
one jacket.
deeply.
That being said, after last week I met Nick at a place near where he works that is a golf apparel shop. I didn't think it was very niche. It's like a little bloody, funny little place. But I'm loving my new
Shout out to
gear.
True Linkswear.
Yeah, I'm loving my new gear. So you
Why didn't
want
you wear your hoodie today? Your new hoodie. You could have worn your new
it
hoodie.
was just in the wash. So now, but I like it so much that I'm thinking of going down and buying some more just for casual wear around the place. Because I thought I had golf wear and day-to-day wear as very separate things. But now I'm starting to realize and learn that they can overlap quite a bit.
Oh, very much so. Even the shoes. My brother-in-law got a pair of the shoes very early on. The sort of the knit mesh sort of shoe, a light summer shoe. He doesn't even wear them to golf. He just wears them around.
It's
So
opening up a whole new way of being for me. So I'm very excited about the future. That being
I'm
said, my
excited
brand
for you.
new my brand new shirt that I wore for the first time on Sunday has a cigar fucking ash singe on the sleeve of it, so that wasn't a very good start.
Oh dear.
I'm taking my jacket off for those that I was.
Oh, it's so much better. I just had this wave of relief go through me.
So I've got the funnies today, Nick. I'm a bit funny. I
Yeah,
have this
tell us
thing. It
what's
hap it happens every like I don't know 3 to 6 months once. So
is
I'm
it
a
because there was
creep.
an earthquake this morning or
No, at school I dropped Tommy off before, and did you feel the earthquake? We didn't feel anything. Did you get a little rumble at 4 a.m. or whenever it was meant to be?
if only I was so lucky, but
Yeah, I know.
didn't get the tap on the shoulder. Didn't
Yeah.
didn't feel the earth moving at 4 a.m.
Did get the old earthquake,
A little
funky time.
nudge. No,
Um, no, I didn't
go
feel
ahead.
it either. And so I'm a creature of habit. You're an ex-army man. I like routine and structure. It works well for me. So like I get up at the exact time each day. I have the exact set of things that I do every morning. Just unfolds before me and that, serves me quite well. And then I had a moment this morning, and like I said, happens every 3 to 6 months where I get up, same time, up I get, I have this electrolyte drink, some B vitamins. I take the dog to the park and throw the ball for her. I come back, I have like a greens drink and just check my emails for the first time. I then go have a shower, get ready for the day, come out, and then I make myself a coffee and I start cutting up fruit for myself, Tommy, and Melissa. We have fruit every morning. And I just started cutting the fruit and I get like this weird, it's not a panic. It's like I feel like I'm on this like all of a sudden I'm on this like never-ending treadmill or escalator or something, and I'm like, my routine and structure that serves me so well 99% of the time, I start going, the fuck am I doing? Am I going to be doing this forever? Like this is, you know, and I think it's this um, human needs are ones of certainty, but also novelty and variety. And I'm very good at the certainty and structure things. I think sometimes I need just to spice things up a little bit. So now I've got to work out how I'm going to spice up my life, get the Spice Girls
You
on.
could have a C vitamin instead of a B vitamin.
Oh God, what if I threw a D vitamin in there as well?
It's
Got real
outrageous
crazy.
behavior.
So this is where I'll go like
Outrageous.
and this has happened many times the last decade where I've been, well behaved to a certain extent kind of man. But before that in my life, whenever this would happen, I'd go just completely off the rails. Like I'd need so much variety that I'd disappear for a week on a bender, and that was my way of spicing things up. So the last decade, it's been interesting to just sort of work out how I can spice things up that don't destroy both myself and the people that I love.
Maybe it's wonderful
So I
awareness to
need
have.
something, I need something in between a 10-day bender and just changing my B vitamin to a C vitamin. I think I need something in between those.
What if you go and play a different golf course?
Well, okay. Yeah.
Just get out of your comfort zone, get out of the routes. So I mean, we're playing golf this Sunday at a different golf course, so that'll
Yes.
that'll change things up for you.
That'll change it up. But I think I always enjoy that. I just think there's something else in my, you know, sometimes I like to get away for a day or something, or I might pull Tommy out of school and we'll just go somewhere we haven't been before, or something like that. So anyway, that's my challenge for today is me just working out how to spice up my life.
Sounds like you just need a night down at Wilson's Prom or Gippsland or
That's what I'm
Phillip
thinking.
Island or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just looking up at the stars.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, we went to Joanna Beach with Em's folks and it was just amazing. So I could give you the details for that
Whereabouts
if
in the
you're looking to
world's
go.
that?
It's near Apollo Bay, so
Oh yeah.
before Warrnambool.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. Yeah, it's a nice, that's all pretty nice spots along there, isn't it? I love Lawn. Lawn's wonderful.
Yeah.
Lawn
Yeah.
Pub, one of the great pubs.
I played the drums in the lawn pub one night.
Did you really?
I did. I was having a couple of beers and they had a musical act on and just got chatting to him somehow. And the drummer was the drummer from Australian Crawl.
Oh wow.
And my uncle was in Australian Crawl. So this guy, the drummer, had sort of been a babysitter for me and my sister when we were young. He'd been sort of a big part of our lives. So got chatting to him. He's like, "Do you want to play a couple of songs?" And I'm like, "Sure." Probably 12 beers deep at this stage. So the confidence of a F1 fighter pilot. And yeah, away I went. So,
And you went all right.
well, it was spicing things up a bit. It
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
getting, yeah, I went well, very well.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Anyway, that's my story. I got the funnies. So you'll bring a topic to the
uh,
table today. I bring one every other week. So you've done brought
yeah, I
something to
thought
the
I'd do
table.
some of the heavy lifting today.
Thanks, mate.
It's just
Appreciate
been
it.
it's been popping up with clients a bit. Parenting,
Oh yeah.
parenting, and because I think a lot of the kids these days are struggling. I don't know what generation we're up to, but what are you? I'm Gen X. What are you? You're probably a
I
millennial or
think
something, aren't
I'm
you?
Gen Y, but I don't know. Melissa was trying to tell me I'm a millennial, and I'm like, I used to be a Gen Y, but but now it's fashionable. Like if I some people, if I do something that seems like I'm old, they'll call me a boomer. Like, oh, it's such a boomer thing to do. But boomers like, our parents kind of generation.
So what year were you born?
84.
All right. So millennials are born 81 to 96.
There you go.
There you go. So you're
But
a millennial.
can you look up what's Gen Y then?
Uh,
What year, I'll get it up. What year is Gen Y? 81 to 96. So I'm both.
no. So, and if you're born between 81 and 96, you're a millennial.
So Gen Y and millennial. Oh, is it Gen Y also known as millennials? Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
same.
right.
Um, I'm in this weird little I'm in this micro millennial thing. So I'm Gen X, but born between I know because I'm 77. So
Jesus Christ. Oof.
no, Nick Sutherland. But
About as old as
hey.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So
So what are you
parenting.
saying with
So yeah,
parenting?
so
Are you working? Are you talking about from the parents' perspectives? You're working with parents and
well,
then
both really, because I had someone come in to talk to me about their child potentially getting some help. Um, and yes, they could have done with some, but in about 5 minutes, I realized the parent needed more assistance than the child because the parent wasn't staying regulated, and the parent had all these attachments to desired outcomes, and so the child was failing and was trying to make the child more like him, and it was just and it's interesting when people say it comes from love. Okay, yes, it does, but it also doesn't because love is caring. The caring's gone past a certain point, and now it becomes anxiety. So it's not actually coming from love. It started there maybe, but now it's coming from a state of anxiety where I'm trying to make this different to how it is
and
because it would be more
oftentimes
comfortable.
the because I've experienced that a lot over the years too, and a lot of the time, if you broach that with the parent gently, that maybe you need to do a bit of work, that oftentimes isn't met with the most opening of arms.
No, it's interesting. Um, so yeah, I just thought because there's been a lot of I've been working with clients about their parenting styles, and there's reactive or responsive parenting that we talk about. So I thought we could dive into that a bit today. There's also we've spoken about it before in an episode. You know, we don't have that rite of passage anymore. Kids don't have that rite of passage, and I think a lot of parents, for some reason, I don't know when or why it started to occur, but um, maybe it was that, when we talk about the pendulums always swinging, maybe it was too hard and maybe they're trying to take it to the other ends. But a lot of parents are, I heard the expression, stealing their children's confidence by doing everything for them, by keeping them very safe and secure and not exposing them to dirt and danger. And, it's evident in going to a park now. They don't have the same equipment that my generation had. Um, and you don't see kids with broken arms walking around anymore. And yeah, so I just wanted to talk about what's going on within the parents and where they're at, and then also, what's the ripple effect of that into the kids. So,
Yeah,
um,
I think you there's many things at play here, I think. But one of the main ones is that I think that pendulum swing that you were talking about, in that we live in a very safe world at the minute compared to what it was, previous decades and even previous centuries. So we're moving towards this place where it's easier to be safe, it's easier to be fed, easier to have shelter and all that kind of thing. And so we have the ability to kind of nerf the world and, make sure no one gets bumped on when you put the nerf, like you put a little soft thing on a corner of a table or something, but it's like
mm,
we do that with the whole world. So um, that does keep the child safe, but it also doesn't build much internal resilience to the world. I noticed it because I've done a lot of reading and everything on development of children and all that kind of thing. And I remember when Tommy was a toddler and hadn't been walking along, and we were at this park. I take him to a park all the time, and there was these sort of large rocks which were a perimeter around the park. And I was watching him. He wanted to get up and balance on one, and then kind of go to the next rock, and they were quite sharp rocks. And I was sitting there watching, and all I was doing was just paying close attention to my own internal reactions. And I
mhm.
just noticed that part of me. There's a part of me that's like, oh, sweet, he's out there and he's experiencing this. And then part of me, the anxiety, the fear, which is very normal, I think, for all parents, and even more
Totally.
so mums, I've found. Um, it's that want to go, he's going to fall and hurt himself. I need to go and grab him. And I remember there was like that, I was just watching that little wrestle happening within me and going, man, it's so easy for me to run over there and grab him because it makes me feel safe. It's not so
Yeah.
much. overall about his physical safety. If he slips off, he might like graze his knee or whatever and have a bit of a cry, but it's more about me wanting to be okay. And I was
Hmm.
really watching that, and ever since that day, I've been paying close attention to it, and I see it. A lot of parents, a lot of the times, it's very unconscious, and they just go and stop them from hurting themselves or stopping them from getting them dirty, or um, I'll notice a lot. It's interesting to notice how many times during the day we say no, or you're not doing that properly, or don't do that, as opposed to yes, or do it this way as an alternative. And you'll find it's like a 99 to 1 that we're saying no, don't do that, do it a different way. And so all of it, life becomes about what I can't do. And I like that term you use about robbing them of their confidence, because that's kind of what it is. It's like I build confidence by doing something that's maybe at the edge of my comfort zone and maybe failing a few times and then completing it. So now I build resilience and confidence within myself that not only can I do this thing, but maybe I can do the next thing. But we can't get to the next thing, and down the line if we keep doing everything for our kids. But once again, I notice the compulsion very much so to want to do that.
Well, and that's great emotional intelligence on your behalf. That's self-awareness and then the self-management to intervene and set boundaries for yourself. That's only going to benefit Tommy, and that's what a lot of parents aren't doing. So that's where, with this bloke that came in the other day, that's where I was trying to guide him to, all right, you're not turning up for yourself. You are making this about you instead of about your son. So now the ego is involved. Now the ego is parenting the child, and that's never going to bode well. So, yeah, it's the I don't know. My client bring their 18-year-old daughter in, and they are quite well off financially, but there's still a lot of problems. And the daughter sort of had a bit of a sense of entitlement, I suppose, a bit of a mum should do this and mum should do this. Like there was like the daughter was controlling the relationship to some degree. Um, and I offered to her that your your mum's primary job is to keep you alive until you're old enough to then keep yourself alive. And I said, she's not here to make you happy or to make your life easier or to make it her sole duty is to keep you alive. And that just nearly undid her. Like she really struggled to get her head around that. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, she doesn't owe you anything. She doesn't have to, everything that you're experiencing is wonderful benefits. But I really had to try and ground her in this concept. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I just think kids are walking around going, "Oh, it's too hard," and parents are like, "Yeah, okay, well, don't worry about it then. Let me do it."
Yeah. And
Or
those two things are so linked, isn't it? The entitlement, because at the risk of sounding like a crusty old guy who's like, kids these days, which is probably what the whole episode's going to sound like, to be honest. It's like, there's no doubt that this generation at the minute are really entitled. You're like, there's no
yeah,
doubt about it. Like, I'm entitled. I deserve things. I'm not going to go work unless you pay me, X amount of
I'm not
money.
going to school. The
Yeah.
school the school. I can't remember what the term is, but the the
Truancy rate.
rates that yeah, it's the kids just deciding not to go to school. Like I would have
Yeah.
had a size 11 boot up my ass.
Um,
Seriously.
no, no, that's right. That's right. And I think that, and this is why, without getting into a bigger political, there's so many people like from other countries who have that, inner resilience and work ethic and everything will come and they'll take all the jobs. And that's why we have a lot of issues in the country we have. But there's this entitlement. And then so a lot of parents will then complain about, oh my God, my child's so entitled. They think they deserve A, B, and C and whatnot. But at the same time, like that's the dynamic that's been created from a young age. It's like if I do everything for my child and don't let them have those experiences themselves, of course they're going to feel entitled. Because anytime there's any bit of resistance to any sort of task or doing anything, they've got this programming in their head of 10,000 times where mummy and daddy's come and done it for me. And
Mm.
our dynamic with mummy and daddy when we're young bleeds out to the whole world. So it's like, oh, mummy and daddy did everything to me. That becomes a belief that, oh, everyone, will do what I say, or I'll have all my needs met by everybody else. And then we go out into the real world and it's like, oh, everyone's not placating and doing everything for me. But then sometimes we'll then try and find a partner who'll do everything for us so we can maintain that, cycle going on. And it's not particularly healthy.
You don't do everything for me, therefore that means you don't love me.
Yeah.
And the kids grow up thinking that love is this, I will take care of you and create a resistant free life for you. And that's just that's terrible. Um Something else. Yeah, so I've spoken about it before as well, that growth is at the intersection of support and challenge. And so when kids are experiencing a challenge, it's the parent's job, in my understanding, to do what you did, to set a boundary for yourself and to go, right, I'm just going to sit here and watch this, and watch my kids struggle, and be grateful that they're struggling, because they're going to develop problem solving skills. They're going to develop resiliency. They're going to develop confidence. They're going to develop self worth and self esteem, and all these critical internal self parts are going to start advancing. But if we keep interfering and doing everything on their behalf or for them, because, as you said, it's about you. It's about, I don't want to experience the discomfort that I'm experiencing. Um, they're just going to fall down later on. So I said to this client the other day, I was like, the boundaries that you're setting for your kids now isn't for the child that's in front of you. It's for the version that exists a year or 2 or 3 years down the track. Like, this version is going to get upset. It's going to have a tantrum. It's going to call you names and everything. And if you take that personally, or perceive that your child doesn't love you, and you want to be loved by your child, or you don't want it to be angry at you, and you stop setting boundaries, that's unhealthy. That's really unhealthy
I'm
parenting.
smiling because I always try and have these conversations with Tommy. I'll say something. He's like, "Oh, I can't believe you do that to me." Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I do it because I love you. It's my job as a dad. And I'm like,
I'm doing this for
I
you.
know you don't get it right now, but trust me, I'm doing this for your benefit, even though right now it seems like I'm restricting you or stopping you or that kind of thing. You said this key word, they're like support and challenge. And that optimal growth sits in the middle of those two, that intersection. And with kids, we're talking probably about the too much support extreme. So
Mm,
too much support creates dependence. So too much
mm,
support, now I'm overly dependent on other people, and other people need to, like that client you were saying, they need to make me happy. They need to do all these things for me. And then that just becomes a pattern that we take into adult relationships. And then the other side of it is too much challenge. And that's probably the more extreme from a lot of previous generations where it's like, go sort it out yourself. I can't help you at all because I'm too busy, working 12 hours a day. You have to pretty much raise yourself, all that kind of thing. And so that's too much
yeah.
challenge. And so that creates an imbalance and too much independence. So now I'm overly independent and I don't trust anyone. I don't accept any help from anyone. And so you can see how both of those extremes are going to play out in somewhat of a negative way as we move into adulthood. But if we can start to balance that pendulum out and have that balance of support and challenge, because it's not like if Tommy was going to do something, I'm just like, oh, go do it yourself. I'll often say like, well, all right, let's do it together. Like, Dad, can you do that for me? I'm like, no, you can do it, but I'll help you. We can do it together. So I'm trying to,
Or show me how you would do it, and then I'll just observe you, and then if I see you starting to make mistakes or whatever, I'll ask questions. I'll say, all right, if you keep doing it, how's that going to go? Like, we want to get our kids, the cogs in their heads turning, and that's the stealing their confidence. If we just keep taking over and doing it as we know how to do it because we're old and experienced, then we're not meeting them where they are, and that becomes that reactive parenting that I was talking about.
yeah. And so I think a lot of people now in the situations that you've got with clients, and I've had it as well, they come and the kids are now, 17, 18, 20, 21, that kind of thing. And ideally we can learn about this and try to approach parenting in the best way we can. It's something we can never get perfect. Like it's so hard. Like
Oh,
I like you were saying, oh, I had really good emotional regulation in that moment when he was a toddler. It's like I do this for a living. Like I should, it's like, if you had a mechanic and you're like, oh, his car's in good shape. It's like, yeah, it fucking should be. He's a mechanic, you know. But I read all the books and everything and I'd learn about child development and when we had, a kid, it was like, whoa, this is none of the books said anything about this. This is fucking,
mm,
really, really hard. And we're under pressure, lack of sleep, all that. So ideally, we get the blueprint pretty good from early on in our relationship with them and the balance of support and challenge, but most people haven't. And so I guess, more unhealthy foundations have been laid, and then it gets to now when they're 17, 18, 20 or whatever, and they're like, can you please fix this? And it's like, or normally, can you please fix them? And
mm.
it's like, well, this is a dynamic that's, this energy's sort of been laid from
I'm
early on.
experiencing resistance. Can you remove this resistance from my
Yeah, we
experience,
used to get
please?
the kids like they were addicted to drugs or whatever it was, and the parents were like, "All right, here you go. What do I need? I'll book them in. You fix them." I'm like, "Oh
Mm.
no, no," and that's when you have to have these really, uncomfortable conversations with parents, and they'll get extreme. It's like the child you're talking about how you're trying to have a conversation that'll benefit them down the road, but in the moment they're like not having a bar of it. The parents will do the same thing, and it's like, oh, it's not fucking me, it's them. How dare you blame me? I'm the one trying to help them. I've always been there for them, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to do therapy or whatever. And then a lot of them, they'll come back a few weeks later and go, all right, what do we need to do? I'm willing to do it. They've had time to process and digest it. Some don't. But, it takes oftentimes the whole family to be able to work on this kind of thing together. It's never normally just one person that is,
Well, the old expression, it takes a village to raise a child. And, I explain to the parents, if the, the, the child is going to gain more benefit from you modeling this on a day-to-day basis than an hour a week with me. Like the hour a week with me will be very helpful because I can challenge them in a way that you can't, and I can support them in a way that you can't, and I can provide all these tools and resources and this space for them to come in and everything. But if they have that and then they go home and they're coming into contact with a parent who's operating and modeling that, it can only benefit everybody. And they're like, oh yeah, right,
We, I've
okay.
got we've got this mother and daughter. It's one of the most beautiful things I've seen in my years of doing this work. And she's now like a practitioner trained through us and everything. This is the mum. Anyway, she had a rough life herself and whatnot. Her daughter was now, she would have been maybe 18, 19-ish at the time. And so the mum, she started doing a bunch of our courses and sort of engaging with us and whatnot. And so she learned, she's like, oh, a lot of what's going on with her and in the dynamic is me. Even though felt like I was coming from love the whole time, I realized I wasn't available in these ways and I would reject her in these states and all that. And so she learned all this stuff and she basically went to her daughter and went, hey, I've been learning all this stuff and I just want to say I'm sorry. And this is what I did. And this is probably how I could have done better and all of that. And then she got the daughter to come along to like the session. She goes, if you want to learn about it like I have, like come along with me. And they came along together. And they started doing, yeah, all of our courses together, coming to all the live stuff we did. And they're both practicing. Now they've got this like wonderful relationship, but it started with the parent softening themselves and going, hey, look, I haven't been perfect. I had a role to play in this, and this is what I've learned, and this is how. And it takes that, um, what's the word? Humility, dropping the ego,
Surrendering.
dropping the idea, because I think many parents have a belief, I'm the parent, I'm right. That's a big thing. You do what I say.
Uh,
And it's like we have to drop that if we want to actually get through, because otherwise we're just going to clash heads. And anyone who has a parent, probably especially of like teenage age and that kind of thing, like how does the I'm always right, do what I say thing go? It doesn't. It gets rebelled against.
yeah, the mum who brought her daughter into a session, she I kept noticing the exchange between them, and the mum would she'd try and ask a question, but it'd be done in a statement form. So to be you are, it was very absolute. It was very, oh, you are angry. And she was trying to ask a question, but it was being received, and I heard it as well as more of a statement. And that was creating a lot of frustration in the child because she's like, you're just telling me what I'm feeling. And, like, how do you get to tell me what I'm feeling? And so I said at the end, I said, I just want to share this with you. You both did great today, but when you're trying to ask a question, it comes across as more as a statement. And she says, and then she heard herself do it like within a minute of me reflecting to her. She's like, oh, there it is, isn't it? I said, yeah. And the daughter's like, yeah. And then we went out and we're doing some stuff before they left, and it happened again. She goes, "Oh my god, it's so frequent. It's autopilot." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she said, "I'm so sorry. I'm really." And she that's softening and that's surrendering and letting go. And she's like, "I'm sorry. I didn't have the awareness of it." It was really important for us to make sure that she didn't beat herself up because the ego can kick back in and start judging her and criticizing herself like that. It can start eating itself.
Yeah.
Um,
It's that
so
compassionate witness, right? We're like, once we
yeah, the
become aware
gentle
of it, it's like,
awareness.
yeah, can I just gently watch this?
Yeah. And so now she can notice and hear herself say it. And she's when she's present in the moment with it, not reactive to it, when she hears it, she can catch it and pull it back and reframe it and then ask the question, sorry, how are you feeling? Instead of you are feeling this.
That's
And
so cool. It's so sounds so simple, right? But so many people, we all do it. We have an intent, I guess, with our actions and words, but then it can be received in a completely different way, and we're completely oblivious to it unless somebody points it out and we're willing and open to watch it. It's so important. I'll walk around sometimes and I feel like I'm okay, and Melissa's like, "You're coming across this way," and it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll check that out." And pretty much invariably I'm like, oh yeah, I am being pretty abrasive today. But we get so it's like the snowball running down the hill. We just get caught up in the day and we don't get this stuff pointed out too much. So that's a great experience for that lady.
yeah, and the daughter. So I think the daughter's going to come in and do some work and yeah, but for the mum it was just a bit so tiny, but it creates such a profound sort of shift and change as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I talk about, and she was really kind of gentle and open with it. But sometimes when we start this type of work, it feels like we can get worse before we get better. But the truth is, we just start becoming aware of all of these patterns and things that we have. Um, I had
I
this
told
one
you about
client,
that client.
which
I
one?
told you about my client in Queensland, the young plumber, and I ask how you're feeling, and let's say good or bad or anything, and they have to do push-ups, and his thing was I was fucked or not fucked. That sort of was the only that was his range.
He's got one of
Um,
those
and
Myndfit cushions, but just has fucked and not fucked instead of the wheel of emotions.
yeah. And then what happened about week six? He goes, he started laughing. He goes, I realized I'm more fucked than when I started. And he laughed. He's like, I know I'm not. I just have, as you said, I've just got more awareness of all of my stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's
so he said
so true.
it's an interesting experience because it feels horrible, like you're on fire, all these impurities, as we call them, are being revealed. But it's also so wonderful because you get to evolve and do the work them. So it's this sort of bittersweet experience.
Yeah, yeah. I this client recently, this guy, there was a lot of work around shame, shame and the wanting of approval, and we explored that in a session. And then, yeah, about 3 days later, he messaged me. He's like, "I do this shit all the fucking time." He goes, "Is that just? Am I doing it just more since the session?" I'm like, "Probably not. You're just looking at it now, whereas before you could keep it parked deep in the recesses of the unconscious."
Now it's on his radar. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, so I think the big takeaway for parents is, as you said, it starts with you and what kind of parenting style am I using? Is the ego involved? Am I reactive parenting? Am I trying to control and manipulate things to be a certain way? or am I responsive parenting? Am I just sitting and observing with that gentle awareness and intervening internally and setting those internal boundaries? And that takes discipline and patience, and you're not always going to get it, but if you can do that more often than not, then it's going to go a long way in that child's development. And that's it's like I look to nature for guidance a lot, and it's like a tree. You plant a seed, this tree starts to grow. Reactive parenting is trying to bend and twist and all the branches to be a certain way. And oh, an orange is coming up. I didn't want an orange tree, right? I got to cut that off and splice a lemon onto there as well. I wanted a lemon tree, and because I'm a lemon tree, I'm looking for myself in this thing, and I want it to be this way, and it's got to go that way. Or we can just create the right conditions. We can provide the right soil and the right sunshine and the right amount of water, and just just this thing is going to grow whether you like it or not, like
Mm.
with or without you being involved. So if we can provide that nurturing and nourishing environment, you don't have to do a lot. Like it's just gentle guiding, really, instead of taking over and using force.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. You brought up regulation earlier, and that's an important one as well. Our nervous systems co-regulate with other nervous systems. They communicate, and never more so than a child with the parents, especially early on. And so, even though a child may not tell you, oh, mum, are you feeling this way, or daddy, blah blah, they can feel it. They'll feel if their mum's anxious, dad's anxious, or angry, or whatnot. And oftentimes, we're trying to regulate a child when we're in a dysregulated state, and that's just like, good luck, pushing that boulder up the hill. You know, so it's
the
like,
best
yeah,
thing the best thing you can do is regulate yourself, and that's going to co-regulate the child. And you don't all you have to do is sit there and stay grounded within yourself, remain properly integrated within yourself, and that alone, that's going to communicate so much more than any words.
yeah, yeah. And we can even like kids understand so much more than what we think. And even at a young age, you can tell a child like, oh, let's just take a minute. Daddy's got a little bit frustrated here. Do you want to do some deep breaths with daddy so we can just calm down a bit? And then sort of pick it up. And I mean, that's cool because like we can't go through life being regulated all the time. It doesn't work that way. It's like life stresses us and
Speak for
it's meant
yourself, buddy.
to. Apart from you, you're the only one who's never ever been dysregulated, especially not on the driving range the other day. Anyway.
But that was
Um,
that was deliberate. I was deliberately trying to become
oh yeah,
dysregulated.
right. Okay, okay. It's deliberate. Doesn't count then.
I told you that in the
No, it
message. I
doesn't
said
count. Yeah. All right, all
I'm
right.
trying to be angry.
Okay. So all those little opportunities, like when the kids see us take a moment to recognize our own dysregulation and then take a moment to breathe and sort of relax and then pick up things from a different energetic space, that's also setting their blueprint. That's like really wonderful information or diet for them on, okay, mummy can do that, daddy can do that, maybe I can do that. As opposed to if we just remain unconscious, we remain angry, go to bed angry, wake up the next day, all of that, then that becomes normal to the child as well and how they see being an adult and how relationships work.
I had a client yesterday, just randomly didn't give me a heads up or anything, but which was cool. But he brought his newborn son into the session because his wife was doing something, and he comes in loaded with the gear and stuff. And I was like, oh, great. And being an empath, I'm like, give me the baby, and just the kid spent a lot of time sitting on my lap in the session. Um, but it was in his thing, bassinet or whatever, and started to cry. And instantly the dad and it's like, hang on, just take a minute and let's just observe what happens. And he's like, oh, and so that was reactive. He wasn't consciously choosing to engage with his child there. It was like reactiveness. And so he had to sit there and listen to his son crying. And then it was really interesting. The son stopped crying after a minute, and he's like, "Oh, right." I said, So you didn't have to do anything really. It's he just learned to self-soothe then. He just learned to calm himself down. And if if you keep jumping in, I'm not saying you should do that every time, but if you do that every if you jump on and try and change his emotional experience every time it sounds like he's struggling, then he's not going to learn that self-soothing and how to calm himself down. It'll be, they said before, dependent on you to do that all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I think the key thing is he's in the room, and
Yeah.
everything there. Because there's also the extreme of that's the cry it out method, which is horrendous, in my opinion, for childhood development. So once again, the pendulum.
Shut the kid in the room and just
Yeah,
hope, just listen to it scream for 2 hours. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. I was talking to
But
my
that observing though, sorry, that observing, you're really present with it, and you can tell when that pendulum's starting to move past that certain point, and that's where you can intervene.
yes,
That's where you can get involved.
yeah,
But
yeah. That's right.
it's a conscious decision.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I think for parents, is noticing that compulsion to immediately want to make all the everything okay, which is obviously, it sounds like it's coming from a good place. That you want your son or daughter to be, okay, but sometimes we don't want it to be at the cost of any type of resilience or internal capacities that they might develop.
But you want them to be okay later in life. It's that delayed gratification instead of that instant
Yeah.
gratification.
We were having a chat actually literally on Saturday. I went around to one of the school dads' place and just the dads and the kids, and there was a few of them there. And he had a quad bike, and the kids kept asking to go on it. I'm like, sure, like give them helmets, and they were like riding each other, and they were fanging it around his property. And even us dads are like, geez, is this all right? If the mums are here, they'd be freaking out. And
Oh,
then and then we're just like, yeah, it's all right, let him go. And then I think one of the dads is like, "Did you ever fall off a quad bike when you were a kid?" And he's like, "Yeah, heaps of times." And so we're like, "Well, okay, we're okay." We played
yeah.
around and we fell off things and got scratches and grazes and all that, and we're okay. And but at the same time, it's like we don't want them out on the road, riding the quad bike. So it's like that balance of what's healthy and what's not
Balance that always pops up, doesn't it?
every time.
I can't remember where I heard it, but it was this wonderful example of, I can't remember if I've spoken to you about it, but the kid comes home from school and says to the dad, I want to dye my hair blue. Have I told you this one?
No,
And so the reactive dad will go, oh, not in my bloody house, bloody blue hair, you bloody poofter, can't do that. And then, so that's one approach. Or the other approach is just to repeat back what they've said. So, you want to dye your hair blue? And it's sort of a bit of a question. Um, but it's helping them to understand that you've actually listened to them and you've heard them. Um, and then the child goes, yeah, because everyone else at school's doing it. And then the reactive dad kicks in. Oh, if everyone bloody jumped off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff as well?
classic,
Follow,
classic.
follow the leader, you know. Or the responsive parent would go, so I'm hearing you might be feeling like the odd one out or a bit excluded. And then the kid goes, yeah, well, yeah, I just don't feel like I fit in at the moment. And so it just opens up, you're not really doing much. You're just repeating what they're saying and then just offering these things and you're not trying to shut them down or manipulate them or tell them how they should or shouldn't be. You're just opening that space and holding that space. And when you do it, they feel safe enough to reach that final position where you're like, yeah, I don't feel like I fit in. Oh, okay, well, let's talk about that. Um, and yeah, let's dye your hair blue if you want to do that or whatever. But it's meeting them again, meeting them where they are, not where you'd prefer them to be.
Yeah, I think it is doing something. I think it's doing something quite significant. And that's oftentimes having space between that reaction or what initially comes to mind instead of just blurting it out and making closing off a situation to connecting with your son or daughter. You're taking a deep breath and going in a different direction. You're taking the hard path to happiness, as someone would say. And so I think it is a difficult thing. I've probably, I don't know if I spoke this on the podcast, but when Tommy was a kid, it's like you have a child, and I've done a lot of work on myself and peeled back a lot of layers and everything. And then you have a child, and any big new experience in life opens up, a lot of other stuff that you haven't dealt with, but you wouldn't have that reflected to you until you have that experience. And so this, all other layers come up, and I noticed I had this whenever he would get upset, I would have this really strong voice in my head, just go, "Don't be a fucking sook." And I'm like, I realized that's what my dad said to me when I was growing up, whenever I got upset. And so it's like that, you can see how generational patterns play out, because we adopt this voice and everything, and it becomes our internal dialogue. And then whenever I see him get upset, it's like, "Don't be a fucking sook." And I had to every time be like that's mine to carry. I don't want to pass that on anymore. Oh, you think that's
I
funny, do
one,
you?
one of the kids had a cold the other day, and I heard myself about to say, "Well, I'll go and get a cow pat and stick that on your chest," because that's what my dad told us. We grew up in the country,
What?
and you have to go and get a fresh steaming cow pat and stick it on your chest, and that was the remedy for a cold. It was either that or go for a 6K run.
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
was
Yeah, probably the
that were
cow
the
pat would be the
options.
go.
No, I did. I took the run. I was,
Yeah.
I was, because we had
Can you
lake
do
one day
both?
in
Does that work
Turgis.
twice as well?
I don't know. It's it's so fascinating, and once again, everything's stimulus. So whatever the kids are saying or doing, or whatever is coming up internally for you, it's all stimulus, and it comes back to just creating space. I think the underpinning thing of this whole conversation is spaciousness. It is getting into that space between stimulus and response, and that's the basis of Myndfit programs. Really, it's at work for Viktor Frankl, and it's sitting there. If you've got enough space to hear what's coming up for you and understand it for what it is. I remember, I think I told you I was driving along one day, just in this blissful state. I was just in the most wonderful state, and then this intrusive thought came flying in. It was when my grandma was ill, and I was like, "Oh, I hope I get some inheritance." And I was just like, "Wow, what a hilarious thought to invade this state of bliss." And I didn't react to it. I didn't try and change it or do anything to it. I didn't give it any energy. And then as it was leaving, I heard my mum's voice in there, and I was like, "Oh, that's mum's anxiety around money. Oh, how interesting.
Mm.
I hope mum's okay." And so, and then I went back into that nice state, and it's that's an example of having that enough space to allow things to exist, and because there's no threat. We said at the start that we're living in such safe times, and we've spoken about it before. There's been a shift from physical safety to psychological safety, and now
Mm.
most people are compromising their own psychological safety. WorkSafe, in fact, bringing in a psychosocial um, thing to the workplace soon. That's how that far has gone that way now. It's becoming a law and a legislation, and so we're responsible for how we feel. We're responsible for our own happiness and health. And if we don't have enough space to hear what comes up and not be reactive to it, but just be curious with it, and you go, "What is this aligned with how I'd like to be parenting my child?" No, harden up. Is that
Mm.
authentic to me? Is that mine, or is that some of that old programming that I can put down? I don't need to judge my father, and because he was programmed and blah blah blah, but I can just put this down. I can choose a different path with this, and that's available to everyone.
I found there's so many of those. I had one, and it was if they'd be like, "Oh, I've finished, dinner or whatever," and there's still food on the plate, and this my mind's like, "You got to eat everything on your plate," you know.
The
And
Ethiopians,
and you
the
know what? Yeah,
starving
yeah, yeah. There's
Ethiopians.
starving children in Rwanda.
Yeah.
And I remember there's so many of those where it feels so true. Like, because this programming comes through the mind, it's like you've got to win this player, and then another pot's like, yeah, that's right, you fucking do. And then I think it might have been my Melissa pulled me up and he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know.
Because that's what I've
Just
learned.
be,
That's what I had drilled into
oi,
me.
I had to, so he has to. It's like, but didn't you hate that your parents did that? I'm like, yes. Well, why do you want to do that to our son? I don't know.
Because that's how you parent.
He's
That's
got to
that's
suffer
that's.
like I did. It's so silly. It's so silly.
So that's that we've got to hear our own stuff and liberate ourselves
Yeah.
from that, and then we're free, as I said, to
I,
make
I'd
a
have
conscious
I'd have
decision.
clients come in and go, they'd talk about the parenting of that, and then they'd be like, yeah, but I had to do that and I turned out okay. And I'm like, well, you're seeing a therapist because you're a blazing alcoholic and you have like complete dysfunctional areas of your life.
But no, you're fine. You're good. You're good.
So is that a
So,
true statement?
see you next week.
Oh, we're funny creatures.
Oh, we're hilarious.
Oh God.
It's amazing how we work. So yeah, so the what kind of parent am I, and am I choosing to be this way, and is there sort of another path that I can take through having a gentle awareness and sitting in that space and just being a bit more observant, and
Yeah.
that'll change the dynamic of the relationship. When you shift things on your end, when you because every relationship is a co-creation. When you make modifications on your end, that's going to have a ripple effect. If you get angry, that's a modification. That's going to have a ripple effect. But if you're more at peace within yourself and more calm and present, that's going to have a ripple effect, and the other person will noticeably shift or change to some degree. So
Mm,
you don't have to get busy trying to change them. You get busy changing yourself and then watch what happens.
yeah. Yeah. Wonderful advice. Wonderful advice, Nico. That's it.
We try.
Parenting.
Try.
Parent, we try. We do our best. We do our best, mate. All right. What's on for you the rest of the day, mate?
Clients, but I'm gonna sneak out the back and hit a few golf balls.
Ooh, a little
Um,
sneaky one.
That's such an interesting game. I told you, I played 9 holes the other day and I birded the first, and there was a string of easy pars, and then I had two weird bogeys back to back. I had a three putt, and then my first fairway missed for the day. And yeah, played this one over par, and I was like, that was so easy. And then, as I said, went to the range the other day. I couldn't for the life of me, I couldn't hit it and feel the way I was feeling the other day. And it's just all right. I've got to work with this today. This is what's in my bag. So I think that's what I love about golf. It's just that a constant opportunity to do this work to really apply a lot of this to it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Love it.
So
All
I'm
right.
going to go to work on myself, golf, and then I'll go to work with clients.
Bloody beautiful, mate. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a beautiful day
And
and
I'll
a beautiful
see you on
week.
Sunday.
Oh, yeah.